Thank you everyone so much for joining today's session. Nish and I, myself, Kyle, are very excited to be chatting with you about why you should be looking at investing in the Calgary marketplace. So who we are part of Remax Wealth Builders. We have helped over 1,000 people now from across Canada to invest in Calgary in just the last 4 years. We have sold, it's probably closer to $500 million now in pre-construction properties there. But what makes us the most proud and really sets us apart from other brokerages is that we have put our money where our mouth is. And we have personally invested in 20 pre-construction units across our team. I think Nish alone has half of those, but he'll be able to talk about those in more in a second. So my name is Kyle DeVigi, and very excited to be chatting with you today. I've been an investor since 2012, so over a decade, and I now own over 7 properties. In previous careers, I managed Lotto 649 and Lotto Max, but I recently changed careers back in about 2018 because at my time at the lottery, I found that almost a third of people were planning to fund their retirement by winning the lottery. That is a really sad statistic because I know the odds of winning. They're 1 in multi-millions. It's just not going to happen. So now I help people build wealth, build their own retirement funds by investing through real estate. And I've been able to turn one deposit of $38,000 into a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio. And here at Remax Wealth Builders, we're all about transparency. This is my actual portfolio, the year's purchase, the current market value, and what I think those properties are going to be worth at just 3% price growth per year for the next 30 years. And it turns that current value from about $4.7 million today to over $10 million portfolio. Now I'd like you to meet my team member, Nish.
Thank you, Kyle. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nish Dissanayake, and like Kyle, I'm part of the Remax Wealth Builder family. I'm leading with what I'm most proudest in terms of my contribution to today's webinar, and that's to let everyone know that I have personally invested in 7 pre-construction properties, as Kyle alluded to earlier, since 2021. The 3rd property will be coming up for possession in May, so in a couple of weeks, and thankfully financing is all good. Everything is great, so there shouldn't be any issues with the May 1st closing. I also own 2 other properties in the Toronto area to bring that total up to 9 properties. I'm licensed in Alberta and in Ontario, and had the honor of being recognized as, or within 1% of realtors for overall sales over the past 3 years in the Toronto Real Estate Board, which consists of over 73,000 agents. Kyle's there as well. Along with my local resale business, I've sold now getting a little closer to 250 pre-construction properties out in Alberta. And prior to my career as an agent, which was back in 2020 or end of 2020, I was the sales and operations director for a family entertainment company. Unfortunately, with COVID, that industry did not last, and I kind of saw the writing on the wall beforehand and had a chance to pivot out. One of the biggest and most important learnings for me working with the team at Remax was truly understanding how you can build your own pension fund using real estate. I have done that, and we are quite passionate about sharing that information with others, which is something that we may or may not touch on today. But if it gets to that point, I'm sure we'll briefly go over that. Now, switching over to the portfolio side of things, also from a level of transparency, here are the properties that I've invested in. What you will notice is since 2021, I've been able to rapidly grow my portfolio of those 7 properties, and they were all in Calgary. There are a bunch of reasons why this was possible, and we're going to get into that. And today, my portfolio is worth just over $5 million, and applying a very conservative 3% year-over-year growth to that portfolio. In the next 30 years, that should be worth close to $12.5 million. And this does not account for any cash flow or principal payback. This is essentially just the appreciation on the property.
Now you've seen my portfolio. I have 7, Nish has 9. You don't need to go out and build a huge portfolio. Only one single property over 30 years can have a life-changing impact on your future finances. So just keep that in mind. You don't need to go big as Nish has done, or even myself, or our other team member, Alex, who's broke a record at Remax Wealth Builders. How many does he have now? Like 20? Pretty crazy.
20 that he knows of. I'm sure there's more that he hasn't
I'm sure he's
accounted
forgotten
for.
about some too. Exactly. So that's the thing to keep in mind. You don't need to go all in. Just a single one can really have life-changing impacts. Now,
Sorry, Kyle, just one very quick thing I do want to, you don't have to, but it is possible, especially in a market like Calgary, simply because it's different in terms of your initial capital cost and what it takes to invest in property out there compared to maybe more higher priced markets like the Greater Toronto Area, Vancouver, Montreal. There's way more opportunities to grow your portfolio faster and to a larger quantity. And we're happy to help you. Sorry, Kyle, wanted to add that in.
that's a great point. So why buy Calgary? So Nish and I, we're investors. We want to earn significant returns on our money, the most that we can. That's the ultimate goal of investing. And we're buying into assets that we think are going to go up. So we're both invested in Toronto and the GTA, but the numbers there just currently don't make sense based on the purchase prices and the cash flow that you're getting. I was talking to Alex, our team member as well. We just had some clients close on or in occupancy of a pre-construction condo, and Alex is negative 2,000 a month on that unit in Mississauga. So it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, brutal. It's one of the worst cases that I've heard of. Just doesn't make sense to be doing that. So Calgary is an opportunity where the numbers still do make sense. And we'll get into some projects, what the price points look like, but rents have continued to go up and these properties cash flow. So that's the thing to keep in mind. Calgary is a very attractive market. And it's a very attractive city. It's been voted one of the most livable cities in North America consistently. It's been rated on top economic indexes, mainly related to the highly educated workforces that exist in Calgary. And that's what many companies continue to reference of why they're setting up operations there. Is because that workforce, mainly in the STEM fields, science, technology, education, mathematics, those are really the future, not just of Calgary, but really the world. But it's also a very, very livable city. You have tons of bike paths. It's the sunniest city in Canada. You're very close to the Rocky Mountains. So if you want to do actual serious skiing, not like we have in Ontario, you can go to literal mountains and then ski on those. But perhaps the thing that's attracting everyone there is the very low cost of living. Nish touched on it. The prices in Calgary are very, very affordable compared to any other major city, less than half of Toronto and Vancouver. So you're seeing that now. Alberta is having record population growth. And this is the most number of people ever. Because when you have, say, a new immigrant coming into Canada, they might land in the GTA and then look around, for $500,000, what can I buy for pre-construction? And it's like nowadays, I can get you, a studio in Hamilton with parking sort of thing, right? Or you can pretty much get a 3-bedroom townhome in Calgary and the surrounding area. So for a lot of people, it's a no-brainer. Where am I going that has a very strong economy, that I'm going to pay less than half the price for housing, that I can live and raise a family? It's Calgary. And you're seeing that. A significant amount of people are from international immigration. So, we had over 1 million people come into Canada last year. Many of those have decided to live in Alberta and specifically Calgary because of the economic opportunities there. But you're also seeing,
Kyle,
yeah,
very quick real life example of exactly what you're talking about. Alicia, who is our leasing manager, I was having a conversation with her this morning about what we're seeing in the downtown Toronto rental market, because there's a few listings that we have, and we're not seeing the foot traffic. We're not seeing the same prices that we were seeing a year ago. And that's directly proportionate to the number of people that are actually coming into the city this year versus last year. Many of them are moving to places like Calgary where life is more affordable because of the opportunity to work remotely and even get better paying jobs and having a lower lower cost of living. So this is happening right now, folks. Like this isn't anecdotal, isn't hypothetical. We're seeing the impact of people moving to places like Calgary compared to where they would have traditionally gone in years past. And of course, that's going to have a positive impact on their real estate landscape, which is really advantageous for investors like us.
Exactly, and that's a great point, Nish. A significant number of people are coming from interprovincial migration as well, mainly from Ontario, because 5 to 10 years ago, people moved from Calgary because there was the downturn in the oil and gas sector. They moved to Ontario for better opportunities. Nowadays, that trend is completely reversing. And Nish and I, we went to Calgary. We visited it in February, and a lot of the people that we talked to were actually from the GTA who went out to Calgary that we had met. So we've seen this firsthand and not seeing any sign of this really slowing down at this point. Calgary, the latest stats are out. This graph doesn't have it, but the last quarter as well, the most number of people ever have moved to Alberta. And what does that happen then to the overall market? Well, it's going up in Calgary. You can't say that about a lot of the other major markets. They're flat to significantly negative depending on which area that we talk about. Whereas Calgary, every single market sector is up, whether it's townhomes, condos, detached houses, semi-detached, and not just a little bit, double digits for every single one of them. Semis have actually been the latest outperformer. In some areas, they're up 25% year over year, which is crazy. Then you have townhomes. I forget the exact statistics, but it's something like 15 to 20%. Condos,
22%, yeah.
22. Yeah. Condos were like 17, 18%. So they're still very affordable, though, when you compare them to the other cities. And the biggest point is they still cash flow. The rent is going to cover the expenses of carrying the property. You cannot say that about any other major market, especially Toronto and Vancouver, where you're going to be negative 1,500 a month, sort of thing. So
that's it's bananas, Kyle. Because speaking to the point you made about Alex and him being underwater over $2,000, another real life example that I want to share is my overall carrying cost. Like this is everything in for the condo that I'm taking possession of on May 1st is under $2,000. That's my entire carrying cost, right? And now the rental income that I'm going to get is going to be about $300 more than my overall carrying cost. So as opposed to being down down $24,000 for the year, I'm going to be up like $8,000 plus the appreciation side. So big opportunities, and the barriers to entry financially are significantly lower.
Yeah, those are great points. And you're really seeing the market being very, very hot. The number of months of supply overall in the entire market, less than one. That is an incredibly tight market. Days on market, 20. That's less than 3 weeks. What is it in the GTA right now? Significantly more.
Yeah, months, plural.
Exactly. Much more balanced market, even a buyer's market in some case, which means that there's more than 6 months worth of inventory available. So no real signs of that slowing down in Calgary either. So it makes me very, very bullish overall. Now, absolutely not guaranteeing 10% growth year over year, but even at, say, a much, much more conservative, say 3% price growth, you're only putting down 20% deposit at final closing, but you're getting that, say, 3% price growth on the entire purchase price. That means you're actually getting a 15% return on the money that you have invested at an incredibly modest and conservative appreciation rate. This is how you can make significant money in real estate over the long term. And this is why real estate is my preferred investment mechanism as well. So then let's talk about what an investment in Calgary might look like. And Nish, I know Freehold, you've invested in townhomes and existing houses. So why don't you talk about the different opportunities and what it looks like in Calgary?
Yeah, absolutely. So the freehold market is one that has seen a much steeper increase recently, especially when we talked about the semi-detached properties, simply because there are opportunities to double your rental income by having a main unit, which can lease anywhere from $2,200 to $2,800 a month, and then you also have the basement option with many of these opportunities where you can see another $1,200 to $1,500 a month coming in through that additional legal income suite. What is the most, I think, in my mind, because we've seen this before, one of the best opportunities that we have right now are the freehold duplexes and the single family homes in Rangeview. Now, Rangeview is in the southeast quadrant of Calgary. It's a booming area. I mean, it's geared towards families. There's a ton of innovation in the agricultural sector. So you're seeing people that are making good money wanting to live here because that's where they want to raise their families. We have opportunities starting under $600,000 for these freehold homes. If you want to add that additional income suite, the developer will do that for you, so you can package that together with your mortgage, as opposed to having to wait till after you take possession to put it in. So this way you're going to have a full dual income property available from possession. So certainly get in touch with us. Those are the Rangeview single family homes and duplexes. And then we also have the
And Nish, sorry before I
Chelsea
cut you off.
duplexes.
If
No,
you
no, go
could
ahead.
invest 75,000 to get 1,400 a month in rent, would you?
100%.
That is
100%.
like the
Yeah.
best possible return you will ever find for real estate.
That that's less than the down payment on many properties in other places.
Exactly. So that's what you can do with those legal basement units. They have separate side entrances, and they're very, very attractive for the resale market as well, because affordability continues to be a challenge. The desirability of a detached house is never going away. If everything else equal, people want that detached house if they can afford it. That legal basement unit adds rental income for those people as well, to allow them to buy a bigger house than they might not have been able to otherwise. So fantastic for investors, because you're getting two units, and the second unit is being added at the lowest possible cost you could get, for dollars of investment for the rent that you're going to get for it, but also very attractive on the resale market as well. A lot of times in Toronto, the only way to make it work is if you have rental units in the property that you're buying. So this is really an incredible opportunity to buy a fantastic asset that's completed by the developer. Because if you try adding on that basement suite afterwards, normally you need that 75,000 in cash to do it, because most banks won't really fund the construction of it. Here you can lump it all into the mortgage payment as well, and the extra rent is going to help offset the extra expenses, and it actually adds even more income than the expenses that you're adding for that basement unit. So these are very, very attractive, kind of the holy grail of real estate investing.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And the reality is, when we talk about the type and the generational grouping of people that are moving into Calgary, many come from outside of the country. So, they are used to sharing spaces. So for many of them, they are okay living in that second unit while someone else lives in the basement, or the owner occupier, because we do have people, like, more than ever, buy that are in Calgary, and they will occupy the basement unit and collect rent from the tenants upstairs to essentially pay their entire mortgage down by having the tenants pay for it while they're still living in the property. So those are all great ways for people that can't traditionally get into the freehold market. It's a easy way to make it affordable and still have a property that's going to appreciate at a significantly high level. The management of these properties, we have support, right? You don't need to be managing these properties if you're not on site. We have property management companies that will kind of take you from A to Z, so you can be completely hands off. Because the reality is, managing a freehold property is different than managing a condo. There's just more elements to do it. And if you're not there, you always want to have the professionals take care of it for you. And the minimal cost that you incur, trust me, it pays itself significantly with the amount of time that you'll be saving. And we have the professionals to help make that happen for you.
And that's where I always want to be a real estate investor. I don't really want to be a landlord. but eventually you have to be. It's part of the game, it's part of the process. So hire the professionals to do it for you. Just take that stress off of your plate. You have other things to do, a busy life. Let the property management company do it for you. And then niche, there's also amazing opportunities in condos as well. We've both invested in the condo market in Calgary, and with interest rates, as high as they are right now, this is the affordable option out there for a lot of people. Condos about 2 years ago only represented about 9% of the entire Calgary market for sales. Nowadays, it's nearly 20%. So that has jumped in just 2 years alone because of affordability. Not everyone can afford that detached house, even if it does have the legal basement unit in it. So this is becoming the affordable option for a lot of people. Anish, why don't you talk about Clover Condos and what that offers?
Yeah, so Clover Condos is located in the northwest quadrant of Calgary in Carrington. And why this is such an exciting development is this is the first endeavor that our partners, Truman Homes, has taken to go into the northwest with properties like this. All of our other projects in the past have been single family homes and duplexes, but the quantity is 15 lots here, 20 lots there, and they go. Whereas this is the first multi-building development that we have access to, and it is fantastic, the location. You're literally steps away from the extension of the Green Line, which is the LRT system. So you can be downtown in less than 20 minutes on this line. So you don't need to have a car because the transportation options are there. Also, the northwest quadrant is also the quadrant within Calgary that has the least amount of crime. Like, looking at the statistics, the numbers are almost insignificant when you look at the type of crime there. So places for families to be able to grow and establish roots. There's a perfect opportunity in Clover Condos, and condos may not have been the go-to for families, but there are 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom condos, in excess of 900 square feet. I personally live in a condo just over 1,100 square feet, and it's fine for me. So think about a younger couple that has an opportunity to live in the Northwest, knowing that the appreciation is going to be also to their favor because the Northwest appreciates at a pretty significant rate, just because of the desirability. The amenities are already in place, the conveniences are already in place. So there is really no better option right now when you're looking at the low-rise condominium market than Clover Condos. Hands down, one of the best developments that we've had access to. And I believe today we just launched the second building for this project, the second out of 4. The first building, I think it broke records in terms of how quickly the majority of the units sold out. And there are many options, both 3-bedroom and 2-bedroom, and even some 1-bedroom options. And they all come with parking and lockers. So certainly reach out to us. We'll share the entire development package with you, and happy to talk as much in detail as you need us to also.
Yeah, and prices for a 2-bedroom are starting at just $369,900. Yeah, like
Wow.
where can you get those sorts of price points? And Clover is in Carrington, like Nish said, northwest. It's only about a 20 to 25-minute drive to downtown Calgary. Compare that to Toronto. Really, you're talking about the 401 to the north, 427 to the west. That's kind of the radius as far out. Not Mississauga, not Oakville, not Burlington, not Hamilton. You're still within like proper Toronto in terms of distance for comparability. So going to be very, very attractive based on that location. Most of the houses in this area, $700,000 to $800,000. So very affluent, even more. Yeah. So very attractive from that perspective. Now downtown, the big boy, Lincoln Condos, the best of the best. Nish, why don't you talk about that?
Ooh, Lincoln Condos. We were on site to where this development will be starting. And that's, again, one of our competitive advantages, because I know there's tons of advertising out there about Calgary, but we are the only team that invests in actually going out there, scouting the locations. We built our relationships with our developers, so we know where we will be not only advertising heavily, but also where we're going to be spending our own money to invest. The Lincoln condos, it is a 36-story building that's in the Beltline, which is really where you want to be if you're talking about downtown, because you can walk literally to everywhere. The amenities are spectacular, from a bowling alley to a podcast studio to a large swimming pool. You pretty much have everything. It's a community. It's almost like a cruise ship. You don't need to go anywhere. Everything is there, right? So you can definitely go to all the attractions that are in the Beltline, but you have the amenities on site. They come with a phenomenal rental guarantee as well, and 3 years of free property management. The rental guarantee, what that is, it's a lease back from the developer, which Clover has as well. But the Lincoln development, it's 6.7% of your pre-GST purchase price that you get back in terms of the rental income from the developer. So you can be as hands off as you want. The developer will take care of the rental income for you for the 3 years, pay you directly for 36 straight months. They manage the property on your behalf. So you can have a hands-free investment up until 3031, 3032, because Lincoln is, the possession date is going to be anywhere between 2028 and 2029. We have the 1-bedroom unit starting under $500,000. 2-bedroom units in the mid 500s. 3-bedroom units are getting a little closer to 650, 700. There are some bad boy big daddy penthouses that are on, well, the penthouses are already sold out, but the sub penthouses are available in the $800,000 range. And again, the rental income that you're going to get is proportionate to the purchase price. So just because the price goes up doesn't mean that you don't get more rent. You actually do get more rent based on the dollar value of the purchase. And we have opportunities beginning at 10%, where you would pay extra for parking and a locker. And if you're downtown and you can get those things, absolute bonus. Or you can pay 20% over an extended time period and get parking and locker for free. And we have access to pretty much all unit types, both at Clover and at Lincoln. So hit us up.
Yeah. And I looked back and I was not able to find a rental guarantee anywhere close to how generous this one is. You know, I've seen 5%, 5.5%. This is 6.7% of the pre-GST purchase price. So you factor that in, the free property management that's included with the rental guarantee, free rental services, the 3 years of free condo fees as well. Add all that together, these make them cash flow at nearly a 6% mortgage rate. Let me say that again, cash flow positive at nearly 6%, which is unbelievable. You know, definitely don't expect interest rates to be that high at closing, but if they are, you're still cash flow positive on these. So an incredible opportunity to invest in a high-end luxury building in downtown Calgary that's in the heart of the city. But there is still one as well, Imperia Condos, another fantastic project. It's over 95% sold out now. There are still a few units where, say you wanted a smaller down payment project, you can buy them with only 5% down until 2028. So another very, very attractive project that's definitely worth taking a look at. Also by Truman, it also has an incredible amenity package. It was the best one that we saw until Lincoln had come out, in a very favorable Beltline area location as well, walking distance to the Red Mile, walking distance to downtown core, and to those LRT stops as well. I was really impressed with the building and the location.
What I love about those smaller units, Kyle, is that if you think about the type of individual that would rent that place, yeah, you will have young professionals that are working downtown. But the key with the smaller units is to tap into the Airbnb market, right? If you look at the amount of people that come into Calgary over the summertime, especially during the stampede time, it is unbelievable. And you know, renting a unit using the short-term rental strategy, and we have the support if you need us to help set you up there. Like, those months are going to be record-breaking income months because the demand is so high during that time that you could be vacant, you know, for the next 6 months, and you're still going to be up simply because of what people are willing to pay to be that close to everything. Like, you're within walking distance of the Saddle Dome, the Calgary Tower, and really everywhere things are happening during the stampede period. So seriously keep an eye out for those 1-bedroom units, because as I also understand, 5% down until closing, and you get the entire incentive package. When the notification came out yesterday about the 5%, like, hey, we had this 5% before, but it was only partial incentive package. Now the entire plethora of incentives that were offered at, the 10% and the 20% packages are available at Imperia also, and the price points are very, very competitive. Not challenging to get one of these units if you need to, and we can help guide you through which ones make the most sense based on your investment goals and the length of time that you want to hold the property.
But not only that, there are new projects coming as well, and we just got a glimpse of them. There's going to be new townhomes coming out in East Calgary. There's going to be new detached houses where you can put that legal basement unit in them in Chestermere. There's also future condos coming in Calgary as well. So lots more to be excited about. Stay tuned for more details on those.
Hal, can I ask you a question? Because I'm sure this is going to be something that comes up, and I know that you're all knowledgeable and have your finger on the pulse on this. One of the questions that come up often is, hey, with all this supply, like, are my units going to be sitting empty for a year? Right? Like, what's happening? Like, are people actually going to be moving into these properties? And we talk about the explosion of the population and what it's going to look like over the next 10, 15, 20 years. But maybe you can speak to that just a little bit to share some data with people so they can understand why the supply issue isn't going to be problematic relative to demand.
Yeah, and I heard this for 10, 15 years in Toronto as well, where you constantly heard, hey, record number of cranes in the sky, sort of thing. And it sounds scary. But the fundamental that happened in Toronto before, and that's happening in Calgary now, is that supply is simply not meeting the demand. We talked about it before, record population growth, folks, in Calgary and Alberta. So the builders, they just can't keep pace with the number of houses that are being desired and different properties like condos as well. So that's ultimately the thing. Yes, you have a significant number of sales, lots coming to market, but just more people demanding it than are being built. You're seeing a chronic shortage overall. And in fact, there's huge supply labor shortages for construction people as well. Some of the builders in Calgary. And that's where Truman has all these projects. They can't start construction on a bunch of these for, years because their crews are already working on the next project, on the next one that, they can't get to them that quickly. So they're filling up their development pipeline, which actually helps protect their overall business. But it's being seen across the city that they just can't get enough people to build enough houses for all of the demand that's there. So simple answer, supply and demand.
Yeah, economics 101, right? Supply and demand. Exactly. That's great. Now, the point that you just made, I think, is worth maybe repeating, is that you mentioned that, Truman has their employees working on these projects, which is quite different from 95% of the developers out there. Mm-hmm. The biggest reason is those developers, they need to hire the majority of the construction team externally. So what that means is you can't really guarantee timelines as effectively as you can if you were keeping those items in-house. And the second piece is any cost that goes up for those third-party contractors, they don't absorb them. They pass them over to the developer, and in turn, those developers have to pass them on to the investors as an escalation clause. The other benefit with working with a reputable developer like Truman is because they manage so much of the construction process, they're managing and able to minimize those additional costs. So what you sign your contract for in terms of the price that you're going to pay is what you wind up paying at the end at closing. And I've been through this now, coming up on the third closing, and I'll have a few more over the next few years, but I've never experienced anything different than to what my expectations were when I signed the contract initially.
Great points.
Yeah, and that isn't the case with other markets. Projects are shutting down all the time simply because people can't afford it.
Or developers are going out of business. We've seen this already a couple times in Toronto. There's several developments that have gone into receivership, which means the developer essentially cannot continue building the building with the debts that they have. So the projects need to be restructured or sold off. That happened at One Bloor, where they're still going through that process. And also the Mimico one, I forget the name of it now, but a significant Grand Central, yeah, significant development there. We sold a bunch of units, Remax Wealth Builders, fantastic project, but they've run into financial troubles as well. And that's just two of the bigger names. There's lots of other smaller developers that have run into issues as well. And that's why I always recommend working with the big guys, with the top developers who have long track records of delivering buildings, like Truman. They've been around for 35 years. They've never canceled a building. So one of the most reputable names in Calgary for developers. And they also have very high levels of customer satisfaction as well. Just Google them. They have fantastic ratings and reviews online too. So that's why we work with them so much, because they just know how to build buildings, very high quality. And like Nish said, you get what you expect with them.
Yeah, which seems like it's crazy to expect nowadays, but yeah, there's no surprises. What my expectations are have been met, if not exceeded. And speaking from a customer standpoint, my requests have always been responded to. So those are the type of things as an investor that I really pay attention to, because it's not just about the dollar value, but the amount of time I need to spend on a particular development or a particular investment, because I don't want to be doing that. And the more follow-ups that I need to make and the more effort that I need to partake in to get an answer, that's just going to make me, go crazy. I don't have time for that. So choosing the right developer, choosing the right partners like the Wealth Builder team that has done the homework for you, that has blazed the path. We've gone into these markets physically. We've done the math financially. We've looked at the data through Stats Canada. We know what the projections are, and we will guide you just like we've guided ourselves and our families to purchase the developments that we are promoting to you all. So get in touch with us. Our contact details are there. We'd love to hear from you. I'm just checking to see if there's any questions on the chat. And I think we answered the two that came up. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them up there. Give you a few more seconds for anyone that wants to type in. I don't think we have any, Kyle. So I'll pass it over to you for the big wrap up.
Well, thank you everyone so much for joining today's webinar. You can tell Nish and I and everyone at Remax Wealth Builders are very passionate about investing in real estate. And hands down, we think the best market available is Calgary. For today and for the foreseeable future, nothing else even comes close. So if you want to start building wealth in real estate, like Nish said, reach out to one of us. Be very happy to chat with you. All of our services are provided absolutely free. There's no obligation. So we want to chat with you. We love talking to people about this. Get in touch today. Otherwise,
thanks everyone.
Thank you so much and take care. Bye for now.
Have a great day, folks.